Hello and welcome to Grognard Solo Gaming. I am the Grognard and today we are continuing with For Against Darkness, and I have named this campaign Defenders of Kellamon because I am thinking that the city of Kellamon is going to be the home base and quest hub for the party. Right, so let's start by getting some more background information for the characters. And this time I have randomized some internal relationships, starting with Darren. Thanks to Morgan, Darren is banned from ever going back to his hometown. Darren served as Freya's bodyguard for a long time before becoming friends. Darren is determined to teach Magnus the ways of war, but he won't listen. Darren knows Morgan's most fiercely guarded secret. When an item was stolen from Freya, she hired Morgan to steal it back. Morgan is irritated by how slowly Magnus talks. Freya found Darren dying on the road and healed him. Morgan often prays together with Freya. Freya prays every night for Magnus to see the truth and accept her deity. And Freya worships Linnaeus, the god of planets, who represents law, balance, and fate. Darren gave Magnus the spellbook that allowed him to become a wizard, and he owes the warrior a big favor in return. Magnus is unable to hide his smugness when he gets a chance to correct Morgan. Magnus envies the apparent ease with which Freya is able to use her clerical powers. Okay, so 3 quick things before I get started. The first one is that I have been saying about certain rules that they mention minions but not vermin. And the reason for that is that vermin are a type of minions. The only difference is that they are minions that do not give this 1/10 of an XP when you defeat them. And also weird monsters are a type of boss, and that rule is on page 20. The second thing is that the Fantasy Solo Roleplaying Framework, in the random generation rules, you are supposed to place corridors between the rooms, and in those corridors you can end up with traps or wandering monsters. So I will try to remember that from now on. Then the third and final thing is that I haven't been making morale rolls for the enemies. You are supposed to roll a d6 when they lose more than half of their initial number, and if you roll a 3 or lower, then the monsters flee, and you still get the XP and you still get the treasure. So I will try to remember that as well. But that was it, and we are ready to jump back into the game. So let's get started. The party had just encountered a gelatinous cube, and I couldn't find any monster like that in For Against Darkness, so I just came up with my own, and it is going to work like this. The gelatinous cube is a weird monster, and it has 6 life, and it is level 4, and it has 2 attacks, and it has 2 treasures. And if a character rolls a 1 when they defend against the gelatinous cube, it swallows that character, and on that character's next turn, they cannot attack, but they have to make a saving throw in order to break free. And if they fail that saving throw, then they suffer 1 more damage. Right, so let's go. The party is going to attack. All right, so Darren unfortunately does not damage the gelatinous cube, and nor does Magnus. However, both Freya and Morgan manage to make their attacks explode, and that ends up an 11 for Freya, which means 2 points of damage to the gelatinous cube, and 9 points, well, not 9 points of damage, but a 9 for Morgan, which is another 2 points of damage. That was not a bad start, actually. Then it is time for the gelatinous cube to make 2 attacks, and Darren and Morgan are going to try to tank those attacks. Oh my, poor Darren gets swallowed while Morgan gets away. So Darren takes 1 point of damage and he is swallowed. So then it is time for the party to attack again, except for Darren, who is making a saving throw. Right, that did not go well at all, actually. Only Freya inflicts a point of damage, and Darren does not break free, meaning he suffers another point of damage. And then it is time for the gelatinous cube to attack, and since Darren has been swallowed, it is going to be Freya and Morgan who are going to attempt to defend. And they both make it, so that was good. And then it is back to the party, and again everyone is attacking except Darren, who is making a saving throw. This time he makes it, so he breaks free and he does not suffer any extra damage, but he does not get to attack. And then let us say that it is, well, it's going to be Morgan actually that kills the gelatinous cube. That means the party gets 2 rolls on the treasure table. A 1 and a 3. Okay, so that means a d6 gold pieces and a scroll with a random spell. So gold, 4 gold. And a spell scroll, and a 6 means a scroll of protect. This spell gives +1 to a single character's defense rolls for the whole duration of a battle. Well, that might be good. Magnus is going to take the scroll. Then the party also gets its first XP, because when you defeat a boss, you get 1 XP. And with my house rules, that means I can just go ahead and level 1 character up to level 2. And I am going to choose Morgan to level up, because I am expecting traps in the corridors, and then I think it can really be good for the party if she has an additional +1, then meaning she gets a +2 instead of a +1 when she tries to disarm traps. That means the party, they have cleared the pool of reflection. That means that we need to find out how many exits there are from this room, and that is a d3 -1. Right, so there is 1 exit from this room, and then I'm going to draw a GMA card, and I'm going to see what direction. To the north. So then let us investigate the corridor that leads to the north. So then I am rolling a d6, and on a 1 the party encounters a wandering monster, and on a 2 to 3 there is a trap in the corridor. So let's see about that. There is actually nothing in this corridor, which is good for the party, I suppose. And then they are going to come to a room that is determined by a d66, and they come to room number 45. And that would be Laboratory of the Mad Scientist. Strange contraptions and bubbling vats fill this chaotic chamber. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and chemicals. A lone mad scientist cackles with glee as he conducts his bizarre experiments. All right, interesting. This is not This is not the dungeon that the party was expecting. However, let's see. When you enter a room, there is a 50% chance of a monster encounter. All right, so let's see if this mad scientist is making monsters in his vats. And right, and also if I roll a 6, then there is hidden treasure in this room protected by a trap. So let's find out. A 5 means that there is only a mad scientist in this room. So the party is going to first look and see how many exits there are from this laboratory. This would be room number 4. So there is only one more room in this dungeon, and then there might be more levels, but for now they are only going to look through the first level. So let's see if there are any visible exits. No, there are no visible exits. All right, so Darren is going to talk to the seemingly mad scientist. Excuse me, sir. What? Who are you? What are you doing here? We would like to ask you a few questions. Absolutely not. I'm very busy. This is what I get for ordering magical doors. They take forever to get delivered, and then any riffraff can just walk in here. You need to leave. All right, fine. Just one question first. Do you know anything about 8 kidnapped villagers? What? Yes. They're in the secret prison over there. But leave them alone. I need to put them into the vats in just a moment. You what? Well, we really can't allow that. How else am I going to turn them into glorious super mutants? They have to go into the vats, and you can't stop me. And I guess that means they are entering combat. So that would make him the final boss of this dungeon, and so I am going to look for something that would be appropriate. And there is actually a mad alchemist that is a boss. So let's see. Then there are special rules for the final bosses. So I'm going to look those rules up. The final boss has 1 additional life, 1 additional attack, and will automatically fight to the death. The gold piece treasure of the final boss is tripled or increased to 100 gold pieces, whichever is best for you. If it has a magic item in its treasure, you will find 2 magic items instead. The Mad Alchemist has a level of 4. As a final boss, it has 7 life and 2 attacks. It has special treasure. On each of his turns, the alchemist throws 1 explosive vial at the party, automatically inflicting 2 damage to a character of your choice. And then the treasure is a d3 plus 1 explosive potions that do 2 damage when thrown. Okay, so the party goes first, and the first thing that is going to happen is that Magnus is going to cast Sleep on the mad scientist. So let's see if he hits. He does hit, yes. And then let's see if the mad scientist falls asleep. And that would be on a... he has a +1, so 3 or higher. Indeed, that would have put most things to sleep. Right, that was a short and efficient, if somewhat anticlimactic, fight with the boss of this dungeon. But sometimes that is how it goes. So the gold piece treasure of the final boss is tripled. Well, he had 0 gold, so that would be 0. Or increased to 100 GP, whichever is best for you. So then I suppose that 0 is increased to 100 GP. So the party finds 100 GP. He does have a D3 plus 1 explosive potions. Ooh, so that would be 4 explosive potions. All right, so the party, they are going to take 1 explosive potion each. Well, then they are going to start looking through this room, and in order to keep things consistent, I am simply going to say that the last room was a prison room, and then, of course, well, let's use the corridor as a place for a potential guard or a trap. So let's see. That would be a trap. So let's have a random trap. Rolling a d6 on the trap table. A number 3 would be a trap door, level 4, opens under the feet of the character leading the marching order. Well, and that would be Morrigan, because she's the one that is going to try to disarm the trap. And the trapdoor is level 4, she has a +2, so she only fails on a 1. That was a 4. So Morrigan successfully spots and disarms the trap door that is in the corridor leading to the prison, where the mad scientist is keeping the 8 poor villagers that were kidnapped by the goblins, and they are very relieved and thankful to be freed, and the party is going to escort them out of the dungeon. Right, so that means the party needs to go back through the pool of reflection room. So let's see if there is a wandering monster in there. There is not, and then they get to the goblin marketplace, and there is no wandering monster in there either. And that means that they make it out of the dungeon. And since the mad scientist was a boss, that means another character gets to level up to level 2, and I am going to make that character Freya, because that way she gets a +1 to all her attacks. Okay, so let's see. I wonder, let's say that it feels pretty likely that the mad scientist would have had books, and somewhere in his books, or among his letters or something, that they could find his name. So I'm going to randomize a name, because I feel like maybe he might be of interest to Captain Corey, and perhaps even the future of the campaigns somehow, because now it would seem as if though he had hired the goblins and it was probably his idea to set up the marketplace, and that was his way of making the goblins more useful and efficient. And then the library probably belonged to him, and well, the pool of reflection was probably just a trap of sorts. And yeah, so in case he becomes of interest, they found his name to be Safar Frerick. Okay, Safar Frerick, the mad scientist. To deal with a room takes half an hour in the framework. So that means the party went into the market, then they went to the library, then they went to the pool of reflection, and then finally the laboratory, meaning that all in all, and then also the prison was the final 5th room, meaning that they spent 2.5 hours in the dungeon. So let's say that they have spent 3 of their 8 action tokens for today. Right. So then they need to bring the villagers home. So where is the village that they were kidnapped from? Because Kellamon is more of the city. So if these are villagers, then they are either probably from the east of this area or the north of this area, since those are the areas that the road leads to. So let's find out from the GMA, and that would be from the east. So then I am going to draw a card from the roads pile until I find a card with a location, and that was the second one. So then we have the village, and then we need a village name from the GMA, and it's going to be Psamtik, the village of Psamtik. All right, so the distance from the goblin lair to Psamtik would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles, and the party only has 5 action tokens left, meaning that they are going to have to camp along the way, and also they are going to have quite a few opportunities for random encounters. So let us see how that goes. Rolling for random encounters as they travel, and it is, since they are following a road, it is only on a 1 that they have an encounter. So number 1, no. Rectangle 2, no. 3, no. 4, no. And the 5th and final one, no. All right, so they are quite lucky since they are escorting the villagers. It is extra important that they do not stumble upon anything too dangerous. All right, so that meant that they reached the rectangle just outside of Psamtik, and they are going to make camp there. And I think that is where we are going to end this session. So I thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.